Hello everybody, back again with another episode. This is Jamie the Board Game Man. Today we are going back to the year 1985, game by Milton Bradley, 3 to 6 players. It is called Scotland Yard. It's Europe's award-winning game, and rightfully so. We are back in London, which is why I'm wearing my wonderful hat that I purchased from London. It is a 3 to 6 player game, and what you do is one of the players plays Mr. X. He's trying to elude all the rest of you players who are the detectives. If one of the detectives lands on his spot, that means you've captured him. But there's 3 different ways of transportation in this game. You can either go by taxi, you can go by bus, or you can go in the underground, aka the tube. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Let's head on over to the gamer's table, where I'm going to show you how to play Scotland Yard. Alright, so here we are at the gaming table with Scotland Yard. Here we go. So as you can see, we have the board, which I'll temporarily move these out of the way so you can see. Here is the streets of London. Here we are. This is a really cool looking map. You also have Mr. X, who is the person that the detectives are trying to chase. This is the board that Mr. X will keep track of his movements on this. And all this really is just a pad of paper, and they have this little plastic cover that goes right over the pad of paper. So in the future, if you ever need more, you have to find this shape of pad. If you need more paper, and you just stick it right over this, just like that. You also have the instruction booklet that looks just like this. And then you also have the fares, which is right here. This allows you to move about the streets of London. And you have a taxi. You actually have buses. And you also have the underground, aka the tube, is what they call it out there. There's subways. And then you also have the starting markers, where you'll put upside down, and each player will take one, and each one it'll show a number that you're going to start on the board. And that is pretty much the components of the game. You also have a couple special ones for Mr. X, like the black ticket, which is a way that he can hide his mode of transportation for that turn, which I will go over in a moment. And there's also a couple ×2 tickets, which are in here somewhere. It just says ×2 on it, which allows Mr. X to move twice on his turn. And he only gets, I believe, 1 or 2 of those. So, and I'll go over that right now. Each player gets one of these with their corresponding color. And you can see here are the player pieces, and they have their corresponding color on them. And of course you have one that has the X on it, which is this one here. That is Mr. X's right there, okay? And that's pretty much the components of the game. So let's go ahead and go through a turn or two that's showing you how this works. So first and foremost, everyone's going to go ahead and grab a color of the detectives. If it's a 4-player game, then 3 people will be detectives, and 1 person will be Mr. X. Same with any other game. If you have 3 players, then it would be 2 players that would be the detectives, and 1 would be X, and so on. We'll just say yellow and green are in here. Okay. And then, of course, you'll have Mr. X. So you got Mr. X here. We'll break out the yellow and the green. Here's the green, and here is the yellow. Okay. Each player is going to start off with certain amount of passes that they can use during their fare tickets throughout the game. If you have a 4-player game, then each player is going to get 10 taxis. Okay, these are 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just kind of place. I'm not going to count them all, but you're going to have 10 taxis. So I'll just kind of put a handful here. Same with the other players. So we'll say green will also get these taxis. Okay, and then you're also going to get 8 buses. They're going to give you 8 bus fares. So I'll just grab a handful and place them right here, and then we'll do another handful here for this player. They get 8 of these. Okay, like so. See if I can do this. Like this. This is yellow, this is green. There's our taxi fares, there's your bus fares. And then the undergrounds, you get 4 each. And these are these blue ones here that say underground. Oops, not those. Where are they? There you go, the pink ones. You see there's the pink ones that say underground on them. Each player will get 4 of those. Okay, just like so. All right. Now, what happens is these are the only tickets that these detectives will get throughout the game. That's it. So once the detectives go through all these, that's it for them. Okay. Now, as the game goes on, Mr. X will also have a few of these fare tickets. And let's see, how many does the Mr. X get here? He gets 4 taxi. So Mr. X will get 4 taxi. He will get 3 bus. Here's the buses, the green ones here. 3 buses. And he will get 3 undergrounds. So he takes 3 of these underground, these 3 of these pink tickets here. And that is all he gets to start off his game. But the thing is, every time a detective uses one of their fares, it goes to Mr. X. So Mr. X has an unlimited supply of transportation getting around the board. Okay? And let's see here. And let's see. I think that's all he gets here. I think that's, yeah, unlimited just supply. Put the 5. Okay, and 5 of these black fare ones I was telling you about. These are the black tickets. The Mr. X will receive 5 of these. So you get 5 of these black tickets, and he gets 5 of those. That's when he gets to cover his tracks. And he also gets the -2, which I know it's in here somewhere. Where are those -2s? They're hiding in here somewhere. Where are those -2s? I know they're in here somewhere. Because I have seen them. There's the 5th one. I was looking for that one. Here they are right here. See, it says ×2, and Mr. X will get both of those. He gets 2 of these. Okay? All right. So at the very beginning of the game, everyone's going to go ahead and draw one of these starting tiles. Let's just say yellow starts with 198, green will start at 26, and Mr. X will start at 117. Then the rest of these go back into the box. You put them away like this. The rest of these will go away. I'll go ahead and put these away like so. Get these out of the way. And so this board is so big, it's hard to... Maybe I'll put them over here. There we go. I'll put Mr. X over here. We'll put these tokens over here like so. That way I have room to show you what is going on, how you do this. So we'll put all these tickets over here. You put all your fares in front of you like so. Okay. And of course, Mr. X. I'll put the Mr. X up here because I believe you can still see them up top. Yeah, you can still see them up top. Okay, just like so. And then it's 2 times here. Okay. So what's going to happen here is you'll see, let me give you a close-up of the board, what these boards look like here. You can see all the numbers. There's all sorts of numbers on the board. See all the numbers there? And all the yellows correspond to a taxi. So you'll see here, like from 138 to 152, it's all yellow. So you can take a taxi from 138 to 152. You can take a taxi station to station, pretty much. Buses are green. So you look for the green, like this one here. You'll see 153 here. You see yellow on the bottom. You see red in the middle. That means underground. And then green means bus. So this is one that all 3 of these modes of transportation can start or begin from there. You'll see these lines that go from station to station. So in other words, the underground, look how far you can go on the underground. You can go 1, 2, 3 stations. Okay. Now look at this one here. This one can go all the way from 1, 2, 3, 4 because it goes from red to red. You do yellow to yellow, and then you'll do, for the buses, green to green. So you can see here, 154 to 140. That's how far you can go on that bus line. Okay. So that's what happens with those fares is you'll use one of those and you'll go from one color to the next. Now there is one special area that Mr. X is the only one that can use, and that is a boat. He can use a boat, as you'll see here. There's different areas that he can start with. So you can see this starts here. He can go all the way up here. Or he can go, let me just try here. He can go from here and go all the way over here. So he has a way to escape in case he feels cornered. Now obviously he would probably use a black ticket so that way he doesn't show which mode of transportation he used. Okay, there's only 5 of them in the game. That's all he can use. And he's going to be moving a total of 24 times. There is 24 slots in this thing here. So that tells you that if he does not get caught in the 24 moves, then he ends up winning. Unless one of the detectives actually lands on his spot, and then that's how the detective will win. But let's show you how this works. So we'll say that the green player or the yellow player had 117. We'll say the green player had 117. So you're going to look for 117 on the board. And it looks like 117. Let's see if we can find it. 117. As you see, the numbers kind of sort of go in order. And then they go off on a tangent here. So 117. Let's see if we can find 117 on the board. There's a lot of numbers on here. 114, 15, 16, 117. Here we go. So green would start right here. Okay. Then you have yellow. He starts on number 26. So he's going to go ahead and place his on 26. There's 22, 23. You have to kind of follow the numbers here. 26. He's all the way up here. This detective's all the way up there. Then you have Mr. X. He starts on 198. So he would literally start, let's see, one right down here. Oops, it's out of camera range here. There we go. 198 is actually way down here. So he's going to start down here. But Mr. X is not going to put his token right here. He is private. He's disappeared. You do not get to see where Mr. X starts the game. All right. All three of these are now put away. Once you put your tokens on the board, that is it. You're going to put this away. So Mr. X is the only one that does not put his token on the board. You will find out along the way where he pops up from now and then. And that's what these little ovals are. Let's do a round. So let's go ahead and say the yellow player decided to use a taxi. Okay. He decided to go ahead and use a taxi. And he's going to go from 26 to 27. So you can see it's yellow to yellow. So he goes ahead and moves one spot. He spends this taxi fare and gives it to Mr. X. All right. Now let's go over to Team Green over here. Green decides, okay, I want to go ahead and I'm going to take a taxi from 117 to 129. So he makes his yellow to yellow. So he makes the one move here. He spends his taxi, and then he goes ahead and gives it to Mr. X. Now Mr. X is going to go ahead, and he started off at 198 down here. He decides he wants to go ahead and take a taxi. Let's see, where does he want to take the taxi? He was going to go ahead and take it over here to 185. Now he's not going to say anything to anybody, but all he's going to do is he's going to take his pad of paper here, and in this first circle, he's going to write 185. He went from 198 to 185. Okay. Actually, I'm sorry. There is no yellow line going from that way. You have to pay attention. He's going to take a taxi to 186. There's a yellow line here. So he's going to take it to 186. Okay. So what he's going to do in this case is he's going to write 186 on this top one when no one else is looking. You need a pencil for this. Okay. You're going to write 186 here. Then the mode of transportation he used, he's going to place right here. Okay. So that shows he took a taxi from wherever he went. Okay. Both these players are going to do another one. Let's just say he goes from 27 to 40 using a taxi. He spends his taxi. He gives it over to Mr. X. The green player says, I'm going to go ahead and take, let's see here. He's going to take a taxi over to 142. He takes it over to 142. He takes his taxi and he goes ahead and gives it to Mr. X. Mr. X, once again, he's going to decide he moved over to 186. Let's just say he moves over to 185. He takes taxi over to 185. He would go ahead and put 185 in that circle and put the taxi right over it. Now, when it comes to the third turn, okay, let's just say yellow moved here and green moved here, okay. Now, right now, we know, only Mr. X knows he's at 185 right now. Let's just say he's at a red line here, so he can actually take this red line, which is a underground, and let's just say he takes it all the way over to 153, because there's a red line here, takes you all the way to 153. So let's just say he goes, okay, I'm going to go ahead and use this. So what he does is he writes in 153, and he puts in underground, all right? Now at this point, as you can see, it is an oval. This is when he has to show himself for his one turn. That's how you get to know where Mr. X is from time to time, is in these ovals. You can see he shows himself 4 times before the end of the game. So this is going to help you decide where he's going. So now he's on 153. He's going to write 153 and cover it with the underground. Now Mr. X is going to show himself. Here's where I'm at. So now all detectives are like, okay, now we have an idea where we need to start moving. Okay. At this point, this detective's going to make a move. This detective's going to make a move. And then Mr. X, once he goes to make his move, he disappears. He's no longer in there. And now he gets to make a move. What does he want to do? Let's just say he wants to go from 153 over to 111. Okay. What he can do, since that's another underground, he can use his underground over here. Or he can just play it safe. He goes, you know what? I don't want you to know where I went. So I'm going to use a black ticket. So now you have no idea where he's at. Okay, or what mode of transportation he took. You don't know whether he took a taxi. Did he take a bus? Did he take the underground? You have no idea. Okay, it's covered up. He can do that as many times as up to 5 times because he has 5 black tickets. Let's just say maybe a detective was close by and he kind of got, maybe he was here and I was right here. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. Well, what he can do is he can go ahead, do the first move. He's going to place it right here as a black ticket. That way they don't know where he went. And let's just say he moved over here to 130. He'd probably go this way, actually. He probably wouldn't want to go that way. He'd probably go here and then maybe over here. What he can do is to show he went 2 times. Then he would actually write down here and then they go 2 times. Okay, he would actually put that. Does that even fit in there? Oh, I'm sorry. What happens is I'm sorry. You'll show both modes of transportation or use the black tickets. And then this will be spent. I'm sorry, I forgot that doesn't go in there. This would be spent and out of the game. He can do that twice in the game. So he moved twice, and now you have no idea what modes of transportation he moved those 2 times. Then each detective will make another move. Each time they spend one, they give to Mr. X, and so on. And then finally, when he makes it down to the second oval, then he shows himself again. Oh, here I am over here now. Then all the detectives get to, okay, there he is again. And then they continue plays until Mr. X's turn comes back, he takes it off, and then he keeps going. So the only thing you really want to pay attention to are the lines on the map. Is the yellows mean taxi, the reds mean the underground, which you just follow it all the way down till it stops, or you can see the numbers are red here, so that kind of helps you see from underground to underground. And then the green, you'll always see on the top here. So you'll see the top thing is green. That kind of shows you, okay, and there's a green line here too. So this shows you how far you can go. Go here, or I can go from here to here, here to here, and so on. So you can do that. So that's how you determine how far you can go in each one of these. And like I said, on the boat, he would probably use the black ticket for that because that's the only way you can use it to use the boat, because obviously there are no boat fares. So he would use this if he used the boat. He would just kind of cover it up like so. You're always covering up your numbers. Even if you show yourself, you're always, covering it up with what mode you used, okay? Until you go to the very bottom, at the very last move, after your 24th move, if no one has captured Mr. X, then Mr. X wins the game. If the detectives so happen to, let's say secretly Mr. X was on 111, of course they don't know that because he's not on there, and let's just say detective goes, okay, I'm going to move over to 111. This is when Mr. X has to be honest. And you go, you know what? You got me. I'm on 111. You can go ahead and lift the last one that you did and show you're on 111, and the detectives would end up winning the game. And that, my friends, is Scotland Yard. Let's head on over to the game room, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so my final thoughts on Scotland Yard. Well, this game is amazing. It's fabulous. It is a wonderful game, and it still works today. It's back in 1985. So what's that, almost 40 years in the making. And they've had a couple reprints. And this is the actual original from 1985. But they have had some newer reprints in the last few years or so. So I'm going to, first and foremost, I'm giving this a thumbs up. Hands down. Because this is just a great game that you can still play today. Still have a blast playing. And it's really great how Mr. X is pretty much invisible throughout the game. Until 4 different times in the game when he finally kind of shows himself and then disappears the game, and until at the very end of the game when you finally find out where Mr. X is. But yeah, what a great game where you're given little hints here. You can go by taxi, you can go by bus, you can go by underground, and of course Mr. X only can take a boat if he chooses to really elude capture. Plus you have those two moves, the ×2 moves for Mr. X as well. And what's interesting, too, is the detectives, once they spend one of their tokens, their ride tokens, it goes to Mr. X. So Mr. X has unlimited use of anything that the good old detectives gives him. Well, the detectives don't have any kind of replenishment. Once they use it, it's gone for the rest of the game. So it is a fabulous game. It is a great game to own. You definitely got to play it. It is a blast, especially during the turns when he actually shows up, and you're like, oh my gosh, that, Mr. X is way over there. You got to try to get over there, but he could be going the opposite direction too, thinking you guys are going to go this way. So it's a great, great game, and definitely, if you can't already tell, highly recommend you get it. So definitely get it today if you can find it. Well, that is my review on Scotland Yard. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give me that thumbs up if you really enjoyed the episode. And thank you once again. And as always, happy gaming.